I know what you're thinking. What in the gosh darn is Bits and Bombs? Bits and Bombs is a podcast deep diving into what it takes to do stand-up from a different comedian every episode. Follow new open micer Peter Doms in his journey to be an okay comic.
Angus McLeod, thanks for joining me today, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. You started on the first sentence. Good look.
I stutter on every sentence, so don't worry about it.
Nice.
Yeah, so when was your first gig?
I think it was 2021, maybe. 2021. I think I did Crack Up Comedy run by Zach Hadfield. And yeah, I sort of, I think I signed up for 5 minutes, did about 3.5. It wasn't going too well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it was good fun. I was like, I sort of finished up and somebody was like, don't worry. And I was like, I'm not worried. Like, first gig, just get it out of the way. I was just shaking. I was so nervous.
Yeah. Do you remember your first joke?
First joke? Yeah, I think it was just like, because I still do some alcoholic bits, like being an alcoholic and stuff, my mum and dad getting up me, but it was just like, it's not very good, but I think it was like, my mum called me an alcoholic. I can't be an alcoholic. I've never been to a meeting, so.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So like the punchline's just a bit weak.
And so like from that set, was there any like kind of gear that you've used after that?
I think I was just trying to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily because that first set I wrote, I was trying to memorize it like an oral.
Yeah.
Like I was just scared. I'd probably just done a lot of acting stuff before. And even the stuff with like Servo Pie was all just sort of scripted stuff that if we wanted to add more and we felt the crowd, like we could add more how we wanted. Whereas stand-up, so just by yourself, it's so much more difficult to write an exact script and then follow it.
Yeah.
Which I'd sort of always done. And I prefer acting like that, where you know what you're going to say rather than off the cuff stuff, because I reckon it's just riskier. But none of it was very funny.
So you just mentioned Servo Pie. That was like I don't know too much about this, but I've heard about it briefly, like three people. So that was that like a sketch comedy group? Yeah,
it was sort of. I think we'd have started posting videos in like 2018. Yeah. And I reckon we started off. We did one show. And it was a lot of inside jokes from like the school we'd gone to. So we just invited a lot of our mates and hired out a theatre, probably when we were like 18, 19, and that was so much fun. We wrote a script, got another girl on board as well, and it was so much fun. It probably like wasn't maybe the best, but it got a lot of laughs, and we were stoked with it. And then we did like 3 more shows throughout the years, and posted a bunch of videos, but it was good.
Yeah, cool. So performing sketch comedy like for the first time, how do you think your nerves went against like doing stand-up for the first time?
So we Finbar, you know Finbar? Yeah. Finbar would write pretty much a 50-minute play.
Holy shit, yeah. Wow.
40, 50-minute play, and we'd just take the sketches pretty much he wrote, it was easier because it was story-based. So he'd basically come up with a story, and then we'd develop it to try and make it funnier and like create our own characters. So I think the first one was like basically sketches with a subtle thing going through it of like a main character going from scene to scene, and then just weird scenes popping up. And that was similar with the second and the third. I think the second was, what was it? Oh, I don't know. But basically just write the script. He'd write all the pretty much, and then we just develop it, and it was so much easier but we didn't test it in front of anyone really.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much just like, hope this is funny, but it's easy when you've got 3 of you, because you go, that is funny, that's not funny, and then one person has to decide whether it is or isn't.
Yeah.
Like if you're arguing, which we would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did like doing? Because I've never done like I've done improv, but like with sketch comedy, it'd be similar where it's kind of like, I guess like, so it's a different like script every time you did it. So was there like certain like skits or whatever, or parts of the story like, oh, that bit bombed, or things like that?
Yeah, 100%. Like we'd all walk away after it, because we sometimes would do like a sketch at like Raw or something.
Yeah.
And or just at a gig, and sometimes it'd crush, and sometimes we'd just be like, we got to get rid of that part. Or we'd tighten it and just go, oh, we're making it too long with this bit. So yeah. It was probably easier because we'd all know, and then we'd just be able to talk it through. Whereas like with by yourself, like you got to record yourself, listen to it back, and just sort of go, is that funny? Is that not funny? Am I wrong? Am I right? You sort of can question yourself a bit more. Whereas like with 3, I feel like you can come down to like a more definitive answer.
Yeah. And I guess like with playing, the difference between playing characters and kind of being yourself on, like, it's
100%.
probably much more of a personal hit when people aren't laughing at like your stand up. And
characters, like I reckon you can just make funny with energy.
Yeah.
Like, so we'd sort of, depending who it was, we'd be like, yeah, you needing more energy there. And then we'd just be able to do it. I think we all had a pretty good judge of what would make things better.
Yeah. So how long did Servo Pie go for?
Probably 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years, yeah. 4 or 5 years. And then, it is hard to get three blokes together who are like trying to go to uni, got timetables, working, and then, sometimes the rewards just weren't there. Like, you'd just post a video, get like 150 views, and you're just like, geez. But that's with the Facebook days.
Yeah.
So I think Instagram Reels just started coming around when we like finished up posting, and we were like, rats.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a lot easier. Because we were making more like sketch videos, like 3 minutes long. And then obviously we probably would have adapted, but it was still fun. Yeah. It was still good fun. Yeah.
And do you remember like at what point you decided like to kind of make the jump to stand up?
I think I was going to gigs with Finbar before we'd gig, like us 3, and I was like, like I've got to give this a crack. Like some people would jump up and just bomb for 5 minutes, and I was like, surely I can make a couple of jokes. But I always sort of like, stand-up comedy is like the coolest thing ever. Like I remember watching Dave Chappelle like as a kid and just going, geez, he's the GOAT. Like like in grade 5 or grade 6, and just going, that'd be awesome. But I don't know. I probably wanted to be an actor more. But yeah, that's stand-up comedy so much better.
Yeah. Have you thought of like doing any like acting stuff on the side still, or like as a additional thing? Because I guess like stand-up and acting it still kind of goes hand in hand too.
Yeah, I think I like character acting where the like can be funny but not like try and be funny. Sort of just like character acting. If that makes sense. Yeah. So if the script's funny, or I don't know, I'd probably prefer to write my own scripts, just because I'd want to be involved with the direction as well.
Yeah.
But definitely acting would be so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So then, I guess from like your first gig, like you said the first gig didn't go too well. What was like the next step from then? Like, did it motivate you to kind of come back with like stronger jokes and stuff?
I was kind of just trusting the process. I was kind of like, I have faith that I'm funny enough to sort of be up there, but I just don't know. I'm just working out my style. I'm just working out getting comfortable on stage. I was sort of like, there's no timeline. I'm pretty happy. I think I started at like 21. So it's pretty relatively young to sort of like be getting into it. And I was sort of happy just going to gigs and seeing other comedians and stuff like that. I think I started getting like one or two good jokes maybe like 6 months in, because I remember Raw coming up sooner, maybe like 7 months after I'd started actually. And I was like, oh, I'm getting there, but I'm just going to leave it because I'm probably just not there yet.
Yeah.
And then, just saved it a little bit longer. And then, because I wanted a good 5. Like don't want to be shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's interesting that like so early on you kind of like, okay, I'm going to wait for like, I'll wait a little bit longer to compete in Raw, because so many people like do it so early on. Yeah.
Like I listened to Bretzi's like the podcast he did with you, and he did it as his first gig.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't thinking of Raw as this big deal, as probably like it becomes bigger the more you hang around, I think.
Yeah.
But I was more going like, I know my work where I was working at was doing like a comedy night where anybody in like who worked for Triple M B105, anybody who worked there could jump up and do like comedy and do their set. And I was kind of like, I don't want to do that because I don't think I'm good enough yet, and I don't want to bomb in front of the people I work with.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And then they were a supportive as hell crowd. Like I went and watched it, and it was awesome. And Stav from B105 hosted it, and like it was a sick afternoon. And I was like, damn, I really should have got up. I reckon I probably could have done all right. But it was just that like, oh, I don't really want to rock up and tell you my shit jokes just in case. But I was happy to wait.
Yeah, cool. I think also like, because for me personally, I did like pretty well the first gig I did.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I
shit,
but the thing is, I feel like if I didn't, I would never come back like that. I feel like that's the type of personality I am. Is
Right.
if I like bombed, I'd be like, because I didn't tell anyone about it. I was like, I'm just gonna do that. Like, this is a bucket list item. I was like, I'm gonna do it, like, and I'm not gonna invite anyone so no one sees it.
Yeah.
So if it's awful, that's like no harm, no foul type thing. And I guess because it was like I did alright, I was like, oh, that's when like the kind of spark to keep doing it come from. And I'd like always wonder if I would have taken it as like been motivated to keep pushing as like I'm gonna get better, or if that would have been it for me.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when I hear people that like kind of so early on had that positive mindset of like I'm just finding my feet and stuff.
Yeah, because I remember like I'd get tagged in the stories and stuff saying like performing here tonight, and I would just never repost it just for that first time, because I'd be like, nobody's coming to see this. Like I'm figuring out at least a couple of good jokes. I don't even know what my style is. So figuring out a couple of things. But yeah, I just reckon I kind of just felt that I'd already got the laughs with the sketch comedy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd already done like things that were good enough to make people laugh, so I knew what the feeling was like.
Yeah, because I guess like when you start stand up, like the having people laugh at you is like a new feel. Like on stage is like a new feeling, and that even that public speaking kind of aspect. So I guess because you've already done like you've already done a form of live comedy that I guess the only thing that's different is it's just you. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It was the just you thing that was freaking me out. It was freaking me out big time. And I was just, I was still just going like, how the hell can I be funny? Like I was still just figuring out how a joke works. But just watching other people, you eventually pick up on like just styles. Yeah. And then you can eventually just hone in on yourself on like, what's your style? What do you find funny? And like, I reckon like some people make this mistake where they talk about things they find funny without any punchline.
Yeah.
Like it's more just like chatting, or like yarning. And there are some comedians who do it so well and are just funny.
Yeah.
But I reckon that's the hardest style. That's the like funny with your mate style that actually works out.
Yeah, because like sometimes it feels like, especially like early on when you're like learning to write, like it's almost like you're presenting a premise.
Yeah.
But you're not like, you're kind of like, oh, this is a really funny idea. Because you're still learning to like do tags and punchlines. It's just like, it's like telling a story at a pub or whatever. It's like, oh, this is a funny thing that happened, but that's not enough in stand up to kind of.
No. To especially like get a crowd over the line that potentially doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
Like you got to convince them that you're funny with like good jokes. How do you write?
So the way I write is, I have a few different, like, so if it's like I kind of go back and just think of stories that I tell mates.
Yeah.
And then go from there and just think on it for a while and think of tags.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know, I think on something for ages and kind of write stuff on my phone as I go. And then once that's all kind of there, I kind of write it almost word for word. And yeah, from there, edit it and stuff. Like, how do you write?
Phone notes is elite, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I reckon I used to be better at it because I reckon I was driving more. I'd usually drive and just start thinking about, like, just start chatting to myself.
Yeah.
And then you'd eventually just, like, make yourself laugh about something. You go, oh, wait, is that funny? And then, just start working on, like, whatever made you laugh just a little bit more. But the phone notes, I definitely do phone notes a fair bit.
Yeah.
And, once I get into the car, I speak more about the phone notes. And then, I reckon it's a lot easier that way. But your same jokes, I like sort of having, like, I like practicing jokes, but then also, like, the jokes that you already have, trying to find, like, extra punchlines for them. And just talking about the same joke and stuff like that. And that's, like, I'd say that is so much of my comedy as well. Like, sometimes I'll write a joke and then I'll use that for a while and I'll get, like, an okay laugh. And then I'll be sort of, like, going through it. I'll say it and then I'll just say something even dumber after it. And then I'm like, oh, that's the punchline. Yeah. And when the premise can be kind of funny and a little bit stupid, the punchline needs to be like the extra bit. Yeah, that's There's a couple of ways to do it. Hey.
Yeah. Do you? So you mentioned practicing. Do you rehearse much?
Sometimes I'm probably not rehearsing as much as like you should, but I'll usually, once I know the words that I want to use, then usually I like to sort of leave it like that and just make sure I'm saying the words that are like necessary to for it all to make sense. Yeah. And then I can be a little bit casual. And because I reckon it should come out like you're saying it for the first time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I find the rehearsing stuff, I guess you're trying to find like the beats you want to hit. There's almost, and I guess that's why like so many people write in dot points, because that's like the main thing. It's like you're trying to hit those certain parts, and like the tag or the punchline is probably, word for word, but everything else in between can kind of be a little bit flowier.
Dot points is interesting. I've never tried that actually, but I like it. Well, notes are mostly dot points, but I like what you do where you start like fleshing it out word for word. Yeah. And just going like, I feel like even if I can get the word for word original down, then I can start developing that more. When I say it out loud, it'll sound different as well.
Yeah, rehearsing can be, and when rehearsing, you can find that like, oh, that actually doesn't flow off the tongue super well, or whatever, and because I guess you can kind of maybe. It can be set like kind of equivalent to like stage time in a way. It's just you're not getting that laughs. So, but the issue with rehearsing too is like I've rehearsed so much that it's like on stage I'm like robotic. Yeah. You kind of like start to get bored. So it's like it's finding that fine line. I think how you said about like you want it to seem like it's the first time, like you're thinking of it while you're on stage. I think sometimes if I like rehearse it, if I haven't done a joke for a long time, I'll like rehearse it a little bit, but I like having that kind of middle ground where I'm still trying to like remember it while I'm on stage because it seems more authentic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, rehearsing is just so necessary as well. I think it's good for writing as well. Just because, where you're going through the joke and then you're like, oh, add that part. Yeah, it's good.
So I guess like after the next few 6 months, you said you didn't enter Raw. Like you held back on Raw?
I think I didn't do I think I actually was like, I'm not going to do that comedy night. And then I think I did Raw the next year, which was 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
we were...
And then we were in the same final, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were both in the state final in 2022. And it's funny because I think I don't think we chatted heaps. I remember for some reason you like pouring me a glass of water or something.
Oh, right.
Such a gentleman. So we were in like the same heat as like Josh Catino and like Daniel Neville and those type of
Nisa
boys.
and stuff. Yeah. See, I reckon by then the 5 I had was changing throughout the comp, and I feel like. Yeah, it was getting better, but I still had weak material in there. Like I had some good jokes, and then like it was just pretty much everything I had that was half good.
Yeah.
For the 5. Whereas like how many times had you done stand up before the final?
Maybe like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I think like maybe 7 times.
Yeah.
Around that, because like I was in Mackay at that stage and we didn't have a scene, so like over 6 months I did like 5 gigs, and then I think my 6th gig was like the heat in Townsville, and then I did some Brisbane stuff. But
nice.
That was like, but I was like rehearsing, like I think I was rehearsing, making sure I was like doing a minimum, like the week before the finals, I think I was doing like 5 run-throughs of my 5-minute set a day.
Yeah.
And I think doing that really helped me early on, but I don't really do that anymore. But so
yeah, I reckon that helps with finding your style as well. Yeah, but that was a great final. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was, for me, that's like that's the big reason I moved to Brisbane, because I was like, they have a scene here. This is fucking sick. Like it was just such like an electric night. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the atmosphere of like the Raw comps is fucking insane.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the best crowds ever. Yeah, that was so good. So much fun. But yeah, have you done Raw since?
I did Raw last year, and I just made it to the semi-finals and didn't get through. So I was like, I thought about doing this year, but I was like going to Adelaide, so I was like, I think I need to focus on doing 25 over.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
It's stressful as hell. Like, the whole thing, it feels like just this massive build-up, and you're like, oh, God, it takes it out of you.
Even because I went to like watch a few heats and stuff this year just to like check it out, and like some of the semis, I felt so tense just from like knowing what it's like to do it. Even though I wasn't in any of it, I was like still so like tense. It's such like especially when you're hanging out with like the comics and stuff. Everyone's so like nervous.
And I was like even this year I was like, oh, do I save it? Do I like just do it next year? And then I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I just get the stage time at sit down.
Yeah,
I was like, just try and get the stage time there and just get it out of the way. It's too much on your mind. Well, for me, I was just going, oh, I need to, just give it a crack. And
was this year your was that your 2nd or 3rd attempt? Third attempt this year. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so last year, it was just a weak set. It was just it wasn't very good. Or some parts were good, kept some of the same jokes. Yeah. But like even one of the jokes I had in this year's set, I had in I think like I'd gotten from like 2 years ago. Yeah. And I was just like, oh. it's just good for a comedy crowd.
Yeah.
And you just go, it is perfect for this because everyone's going like, oh, we're like here to watch our friends or whatever. But you can sort of say a couple of things to make everyone feel a little bit more calm about like you understanding the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I reckon that is just like crucial to the like most crucial thing is to get the audience comfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
And then make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Build that tension.
Yeah, build that tension. Yeah, get them comfortable, make them like you, be likable, and then
win them over at the start. You can fuck around a bit, like in the middle, and then try and win them back.
Yeah, try and win them back. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it was good this year. How was Adelaide?
Yeah, Adelaide was pretty good.
Yeah, we spoke about it a bit, but like, how many nights did you do?
We did 3. We did 3 of like a 2-person split show. Yeah. So have you done any of the split show stuff?
No, I haven't done any of the split show stuff. I've thought about it, but sometimes it's just hard to like, get all the material. I work full time, so sometimes you just finish a week and you're just like, I'm putting my feet up. Yep. It's like a little bit lazy, but you just becomes harder. So like, I think I'll try and get a bit more serious about it this year and just like, I'm moving down to Melbourne. So I moved down to Melbourne with my job. And then so hopefully just able to do some more gigs and then just even on the weekends, I'll just be by myself, you know, like it's funny to move away from your friends to just go like, you guys are great, but I just need to focus on this.
So was comedy the main reason for the move for Melbourne?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. Like I reckon it's a cool city. I was keen for a change and I reckon the comedy scene's unreal, so I'll try and get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
You could probably focus on doing like maybe like a split bill for like next Melbourne comedy festival and stuff next year. So
100%. Well, it feels a bit close to Adelaide as well. So if I'd be close to the split bill. I don't think I'd have too much trouble getting to there like soonish. It's just sometimes it's easier to do by yourself as well. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but like, I don't know. I kind of feel like when it comes to creativity and trying to like motivate yourself, it's awesome to do it with somebody else, but like sometimes you just don't have a choice. You just got to do it solo.
Yeah, I think for me, like, with the split bill stuff, I feel like it's like because you're like both working on your own sets, it's kind of like you just like have to just trust the other person, you know, is going to bring X amount of, like they're also going to bring their material to the table. Yeah. But what I like, and because I feel like it's still like it's still like an individual creative effort.
Yeah.
I feel like where it become, what I like about the split bill stuff is that financially you can divide it.
Yeah.
And it's also like you're experiencing with your mates at the same time.
Actually,
too.
yeah.
Because like the festivals can be quite expensive to like, you know, once you consider being registered, booking venues. I guess if you're in Melbourne, you don't need to worry about like flights and accommodation.
Yeah.
But for me, like with Adelaide, it was like,
oh yeah, for sure.
But I just think it's like a great kind of like stepping stone to kind of do that experience with the homies and stuff. So
absolutely. Like, yeah, just getting down there in general, like absolutely incredible. So good. But what's the Adelaide scene like in general, just aside from the Fringe and whatnot?
I don't really know about the Adelaide scene. I've heard some people say that like there isn't really a scene in Adelaide. Yeah. There definitely is a scene there. Like there's comedians like James McCann and stuff from there. But and I've heard heard it's like a decent scene, but I guess like during the Fringe, all the open mics were like weren't a thing. To my understanding. And I've never been to Adelaide otherwise, so. And the people I was meeting weren't like I was meeting people from like other countries and like other cities like Melbourne and stuff. I didn't really meet any like Adelaide locals. Yeah. So it wasn't even really something I could like.
Well, cool city. I've never been.
Yeah, it's cool. It kind of has like a more of like a. kind of a country town, I guess. There's a lot more like local businesses rather than like here and stuff. It's like chains and stuff. The chains are around, but it's not like 7-Eleven on every fucking corner and shit.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot more like local food, local cafes in Adelaide.
Nice.
So I really like that. Super flat city, easy to walk around, unlike fucking Brisbane.
Oh, mate. It's crook.
Yeah. So,
Milton's right next to it all, aren't you? Like, it's just hilly as hell.
Paddington is just the worst to walk around.
Yeah, I remember walking around Grange one time, like, I think after a night out and just going, like, trying to get back to a mate's place and just going, this is insane. Have you ever been? It was just literally... No. Hills for days.
Hills for days.
It took forever to get home.
Yeah.
But yeah, side note, the Grange is hilly.
So let's, I guess, talk about like with Raw this year, like you kind of was just taking like the best kind of stuff you had over like the last like 2 or 3 years of comedy. Yeah.
So I became deaf in like October 2023. 22. So yeah. And then I basically, as soon as I became deaf, I was like, I'm just going to start writing deaf material and just see what I can come up with. And that's pretty much wrote like, I reckon I wrote about 20 minutes of material and then like a lot of it's just long, like moving through stuff, like not as many jokes necessarily. Like I just had a bit of time.
Yeah.
And then once I got to Raw that year, like there was a couple of good jokes and I was like, I've got the bones, but I just don't have it all. So, and then, I want to do deaf material and then do material that's just like my life as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
just anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, we spoke about this the other day and I loved how you said like, like you can do just deaf material, like you're deaf and like that is
that's your life at the moment.
Significant factor in like how you perceive life. So I guess, I guess in that sense, you can do that. I like a variety of things. I don't know. I'm interested to see how like deep the well is with like deaf jokes as well, and just like. But to be honest, it's just all my experience with it, and like one of my bits is just stupid questions I get asked. Yeah, and like that could go on for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, like because it's like a kind of new thing you're processing. You're using comedy to process that, and as you go through life, you're going to experience new challenges, a new different like perspective to being deaf. So there's always going to be endless material to that. Yeah,
it's interesting because I was also sort of I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, it's gone.
No worries.
No, it's gone. Sorry.
All good.
What were we saying?
Deaf material and about how like now that you're...
Oh, yeah, sorry. When I first started doing it, like, a lot of people would be sad, like, about some of the jokes I'd make. And I was like, now you're making me sad. I wanted you to laugh at that. Like, I think that's funny. But there's definitely a line where you can, this is a good part too, because you can make people feel uncomfortable and then you can make them feel comfortable again by going like, I'm fine with it. So, I reckon that's why I sort of like what you sort of said with like dealing with it as well and then using comedy as an outlet. I reckon, I think it was a good thing to try and get all the like sad bits out and then you can sort of just do the regular stuff and just make jokes. Yeah. Because it's all jokes to me.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like because as you go, you're learning like what other people would perceive as sad or kind of pull back from.
100%. Yeah, what they'd pull back from, definitely. Yeah. And just keeping an eye out for that because like you don't want them to pull back. You just want them to feel uncomfortable if you want them to feel uncomfortable. Like making them pull back means they're just like...
Like they're disengaging.
There's no tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've already made their decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, finding the balance between those two is fun.
Yeah, interesting. So with, I talked to Lily about this when she was on, because we both did her gig for the uni like the end of last year. Yeah.
Oh, and that was I just completely bombed, and I was like, because it was like a disabled audience, and I just started off with like, how good is NDIS? And just like nobody laughed, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I got into my material, and it was just tough. It was rough. Yeah. Like I still had fun and like appreciate the gig.
Yeah. I don't think you bombed. I don't remember. I think you did pretty well. Like,
oh, thank you. I remember walking out of there just going, oh, that was that was something.
I remember it was funny because Lily put me on because I have ADD, and I have like one joke about it. And then the rest is just like, oh, concrete. I used to work at a video game store. So I felt so silly, like people have like kind of having jokes about like their experiences and their life and stuff kind of related directly to this gig. And I was just like, just being silly.
Yeah. No, I was stoked you were there because I was like, I did sort of, I did sort of go like, oh, well, like, I didn't know like there was anything. I thought you were fine, but like, not that you can be disabled. And I'm fine. I'm just trying to say the right things. But I was like, oh, there was other comedians as well. Cool, but yeah, obviously, ADD. That's
yeah. Because I remember saying to Lily, I was like, I'm not taking a spot from anyone, am I? And she's like, no, that's like ADD is a thing. Like,
100%.
She's like, I'm choosing. I want you to be on this gig. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, 100%. No, rate it. Oh, I was glad you were there. It was it was. Oh, I still love seeing everyone there because Richie and Brian were there as well.
Yeah,
hey? Yeah, and love those guys. So it was good, and Lily's just lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and also I mentioned this on the ep she was on, but like when she asked me like accessibility stuff, it was like as someone, that is able-bodied, I was like, oh, this is a nice thing to have been asked. Like, so do you have any like accessibility like requirements now?
Well, most of the time people sort of forget.
Yeah.
So, Teams, I use Microsoft Teams, so they have subtitles, which is handy.
Yeah.
But usually I can just, I'll still wear headphones, just because it's easier to just plug it in. I've got a dongle as well that, like, Bluetooth straight to the, like, cochlears. But, yeah, usually it's pretty sweet, which is pretty handy. I can't think of anything too much. Like, I've got to go through a special thing at the airport, like a special, like, I'm not sure what happens if I go through the wrong one. I sort of want to just, it just wouldn't be funny to like the security guys, but just like pretend to be getting zapped from like, it'd just be a fucking cruel joke. But I always, I'm, especially in the airports, because they always recognize them straight away because there must be a lot of people going through. Yeah. But I've walked into like a place before and I'm like, oh, I don't think I can go through that one. And he's just like, why not, mate? And I'm like, oh, like these. And he's just like, mate, I got one too. And he's wearing like an earpiece. Oh. And I was just like, you idiot. Like, mate, somebody's got to pat me down. I know I can't go through that thing. And it was so funny.
What do you mean? I got AirPods in too, brother.
I was just like, oh, man. But it was just in like a security place that doesn't like, obviously maybe he's just never seen them before. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty funny that he was like, he just thought it was an earpiece.
But in terms of like gigs and stuff, everything's
it's pretty
like
good. Like they get better. So like your brain just adapts with them in. So I've like I'll listen to, or I could take calls in the car, like just on speakerphone, or I'll go to a gig, and if I just need to be in a good spot where I can it's easier if I can see the lips.
Yeah.
But as well as that, if I really want to hear it, I'll just like move closer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on what other sound there is and how distorted it is. But in terms of accessibility, like I'm absolutely fine. Just nothing, which is sweet. Just like one of good disability, I guess. one of the better ones, perhaps.
Yeah. So I guess let's like continuing with like the Raw stuff this year. Like, how did that go? That was like this past Sunday. Like, it was just Sunday night type.
Yeah, Sunday night. Oh, well, the first gig felt unreal. Were you at the first one? Or
no, I
swear I saw you at one of them.
I think I was at your semi-final, and that was a rough one, right?
Sorry.
Were you at the rough semi-final?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about, I guess, your first heat. In Raw, yeah.
So first heat was great. It felt like everyone did really well.
Yeah.
Everyone did really well. It was a great crowd. It felt like a final, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would get the footage from my first one over the final. Yeah. Because I was just like, Jesus, these guys are friendly. Mm-hmm. Second one, it was probably half, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Second one, it was half the crowd just in the front, and it could have been Sunday night. The first one was a Thursday.
Yeah.
Sunday night, just felt everyone was hungover. I think I felt hungover.
Yeah.
I think I'd been to Mardi Gras the night before, so I was just feeling a little bit run down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I still made it through, which was nice. But everyone was just
that was
doing it tough.
Yeah, because I was at that one and it was rough. But it's interesting because the second semi-final the next week was like great.
Yeah,
like the crowd was hot for the other one, so it was really weird to see. But go to both semi-finals and see the juxtaposition of a crowd that just wasn't on board with anyone.
Yeah.
Like a really tough crowd, and then a crowd that was like your typical like comp like crowds are like super into it. Yeah. Super lovely.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's really
to laugh. Like, I've never really been to stand-up comedy, but I'm here to enjoy it. Yeah. Yeah, and then final was unreal. Like everyone was getting laughs. I mean, it was pretty hard to pick, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like Jamison did unreal. Like everyone did so well. Like I was just kind of going like it's anyone's game really. I think everyone kind of felt the same.
Yeah.
Because the crowd was great. Everyone there was good.
Yeah, that's how you know it's like a good like a great night of comedy when it's like who the fuck no one. It's harder to pick who. Like there isn't like like everyone did a certain level, then someone like absolutely crushed. Like everyone, it's good when everyone's like almost on the same level type thing, and just everyone's just killing it. Yeah, because everyone can walk away, even if they haven't won, being like that was a good gig. Yeah. Where it was tough with the semi-final you were on, because it's like even the people that, and this is what I heard from people that were on there, like I can't even walk away being like, oh, that was a good gig. Yeah. I think that's why they were like mostly discouraged.
Yeah, that's tough. And the MC, I don't know who's the MC. That's the short Irish dude.
I can't remember his name, but I think he was like an MC for one of my gigs one of the Raw heats.
Right, yeah, he was MC and he was just so funny. Yeah. So he I think he crushed the most, which is pretty funny. Yeah, just going like. MC's job sort of like, we'll bring out the next person, tell you a couple of jokes, like, but he just crushed so hard. So that was pretty funny. That was a tough act to follow.
Yeah, that's so funny. The MC being the tough act to follow. Yeah,
and your winner is the MC. Yeah. But yeah, he was really good. And yeah, good crowd. It was nice. The final. It's just sort of like, once you sort of get there, do your set, you usually do all right, and then you just go, oh, sweet. I'm happy with whatever happens. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just so much less about like winning and stuff, and just sort of like, I think the stressful part is like, am I going to make it through? Am I going to make it through? Whereas the final, you can let that go a bit.
Yeah.
Because you're like, one person gets through. This is a subjective art. Whoever it is, nice work.
Yeah.
Like, it's sick. It's so goat.
Yeah, it is. I guess it is like, it is exciting that like one of you, and most likely like it's one of your mates or somebody knows like gonna make it to the TV and stuff, and that in itself is just super exciting for like the scene and things like that. So I guess you kind of, there isn't that like stress of like you've already kind of made it to the state final, so you've already kind of, you know, accomplished something in itself there.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah. And so good to see like even the other runners up, Daniel Brushweiler, he's been doing stand up for like 7 or 8 months or something. Yeah. And like he was funny as hell. He was great. And just so good to see that so many people are doing it at a good quality, like a high quality.
And it's interesting having been in the scene for 2 years, just seeing the way people are improving so quickly. It's like, because I'm gonna do my last attempt for Raw next year, and it's kind of like, fuck, everyone's getting so good so quickly. Like, it's like, it's exciting, but it's also like, this is tough comp. Like,
in those first couple of rounds, like, you can't discount them. Like, you know, like last year where you're going like, oh, I've been doing comedy a while, made the final before, made the final last year. Yeah. Surely, like, give me another crack. And then, well, like, not surely, like, you don't deserve anything, like, really. But, like, you sort of go, oh, I've made it before. Maybe I'll make it again. And then it's just like, nah. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I've heard from even like from my own experience and people that have kind of done the state finals before and then they're going again. There is that for themselves. There's like in their own head, there's a minimum of having to do it again because there's almost feels like you're backpedaling in comedy, even though it's like not that at all. No. Like it's literally just us concerned about it. Like no 100%. One's gonna be like, well, you didn't make it to the state finals again. You suck. Like, it's only you that is concerned about.
Yeah, nobody's watching either.
So it's really, it's funny how like we can use comps to like, and as you said, it's a subjective art. We're using comps to be like, oh, well, this means I'm this good type thing as well. Like,
and it's also like 5 minutes. I mean, to like procure a career as a stand-up comedian is like a lot of time and work. Like and just how long it takes you to like finally go, oh, this is the 5 minutes I'm going to use. Yeah. And then, it's just, it's difficult. It's so hard.
Yeah. I was like, Shane Hunter gave me advice last year or the year before when I asked about like advice for like Raw and like Titan 5. He said, get 30 minutes of material. Like, don't focus on Raw. Like, and that's such like and I guess like, because when you do comps and stuff, you're like honing this, like you're polishing the 5 minutes where, as you said, it's like it's a long game.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, Shane Hunter said a similar thing to me when I was like, oh, I got the like Raw semi next week. And I was just like, fingers crossed. And he was like, don't give it too much. Yeah. And he was just like, look, man, a lot of people put it as like a be all and end all, and he was just like, you gotta keep doing it. Yeah, like it's pretty easy to just go, oh, I've got 5 minutes, that's gone. But you gotta, like he said, make 30 and keep pushing on, which is tough. It's tough to write and then get up and test it. It's so easy to just do the same 5.
Or even like when you're doing 5s, you might do like a new one or like a new joke in the middle that might be like a few minutes or 1 or 2 minutes. But you're still relying on like, 3 or 4 minutes that you've been doing for ages.
Well, I reckon you should, I don't know if this is stupid, but it should just be like, just new 5, just scrap it, just like not scrap it, but just put it in the vault. Yeah. And then just go, start again, or just try a new joke, have your same intro and exit, and just go like 3 minutes in between, or whatever you need in between.
Yeah.
Because I reckon it's just so hard to build on it otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes even when you test like a new joke that goes for a minute, there's like 20 seconds that's good. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, geez, 20 seconds a week.
Yeah.
This is gonna take a while.
Yeah, I think actually, like, Jack Knight said to me that he said that there was like a study of he basically said to like start clean. He said start clean and just write a bunch of new jokes and just do those. Because he said something, there was like a study where they had these people paint pots, and one group painted one pot for the whole session. But then they had another group just smashing out all these different pots, as many as they could, and the best pots were from the ones that were doing maths. They were just fucking cranking it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's like an interesting, like, you can kind of put that into terms of comedy 100%. Too. It's just like just trying to consistently write jokes and test out new stuff.
Definitely, you'd learn more. And it's so good when you find a new joke that you're like, this is great.
Yeah, there's like a new excitement to it, and like you're delivering it with like a passion for it too. Yeah. So
because things get stale for sure. Where you're sort of like, oh, I know, like this is where you laugh, or like you're just going through you're just rehearsing in front of people. Like it's just that. There's just like, you're not enjoying it as much. That's why I think I started pausing more and just going like, and then saying something, and then just getting to the point where you'd sort of chat a bit more. Yeah. And just going like, oh, it doesn't have to be like, if this is going to be hard, then I'm in no rush. Like, I'm just going to chat to you guys a bit and sort of then come back to my jokes and stuff like that. And I reckon that's just sort of like, helps with just your comfortability on stage, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, okay. And I guess it'd make it feel like a more natural like delivery too, like rather than like here's a joke, like so depending on what your delivery is like.
So much more fun as well. I feel like if you're having fun, then like you're probably doing something right as well.
Yeah, so going on, so last year not making it through to the state final, how'd you do this year at the state final? How'd you go?
Runners up, which is really nice.
Sick.
Really nice. Nice to sort of have done it the 2 years before. Get a bit of recognition is nice. Like, even if it's, look, it honestly could have been any three up there. So, like, for runners up and winners, like, there was so many good people, or good comics. But I'm absolutely stoked with that. It's unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool.
Yeah. But it was such a good gig. I'm probably tapering off until I move down to Melbourne. I probably won't be doing as many just because I'm trying to focus on getting down there. But definitely still do like one or two there, here and there. Oh, actually, I'm doing sit down tomorrow night, which is nice.
Oh yeah, sick.
And yeah. So yeah, looking forward to that. Sit down's so much fun when it's a good crowd. I think one time we did a gig there with Servo Pie, and we the Mitzi project. It's horrible. We were like, oh, Angus, the other two boys were like, oh, Angus, don't say this in front of the sit down crowd, because they're a bit of like an older people. And then we were bombing so hard, I forgot that I wasn't meant to say it. And so I said it. And then we were just like, we pretty much got off stage and we were like, run. Like,
what? Do you remember what it was? Well, you don't have to say it, but...
So, I think it was like we were doing a Hughesy impression. But instead of saying like mother-in-law, I pretended to hear like mother-in-whore. And I've just said it so loud and just like it had gotten a laugh before in the context of the joke. But in this, like, imagine it was as funny with no context, like just then, where you're just like, that only rhymes. So, so I don't think I had a gig. We had a gig at Sit Down, or I didn't have a gig at Sit Down for a long time after that. I think the only gigs I've ever done otherwise were like Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, like, with what's next for you is like the focusing on the move. Don't have any plans in particular for like comedy there or anything you've like hooked up?
No, I think I'll probably just try and get down there and I've just started writing more and then just writing more, trying to work to 50 minutes, 50 minutes and then I don't know. I've been saying I wanted to do Fringe for like a couple of years, but it's just, as you know, it's difficult to pull the trigger and actually get yourself down there, which is honestly so sick that you've done that. Would just be such a great experience. I'm sort of hoping that I'll just be able to suss it out down there, write a bit more, and just get involved. It's good that I'm working down there, just because, I would find it hard to, I just love the routine of a full-time job. Yeah, like just waking up and going to work, sort of like Monday to Friday as well. I think eventually I might try and taper off a day, but. Yeah, for now, I think I'll just try and get down there and then, start just keep on building. It's so good Raw's out of the way because you just pretty much focus on 5 minutes for 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess it's good for you to, now you kind of have like in your comedy resume, you can kind of go to a new scene and use that Raw, runner up as like a little bit of a leeway. Yeah. Because it is so hard, like when you're in a scene, like new to a scene, especially new in general to comedy, to try and get into like different rooms and stuff. So I feel like that's going to make it a bit easier for you.
Actually, to be honest, I would like to just write jokes and post them just straight away. And then just go, get rid of it. I think otherwise I'll just hold on to them, And I like the idea of building up. But I just reckon as well, such a digital world, like social media is definitely how you get booked. I reckon there's a better chance to build a following on social media, and then you'll feel comfortable like telling new jokes, like as an option. So potentially I'll just cut up what I've got and just post it all, and then just start again.
Yeah, okay.
And just work like that.
Yep. So posting as clips.
Yeah. Yep. And just go reels and TikToks. And then I think I just need to... I've got a film degree, but I just need to figure out how to edit those TikToks. And it seems like it's probably not that hard, but I don't know. Just one of those things you go and never get to. Yeah. But I'll try and do that. How about you?
I don't know. Like, after doing Fringe, I'm kind of like not sure. Like, that was kind of like my big goal for ages. Yeah. Now I guess it's like, okay, I have like 20-ish minutes. I guess it is aiming to write towards that 50 minutes. Like, I guess the next step for me probably is like a solo show. Yeah. Like, I could do a few more split shows, but I think it probably is like time to focus towards doing like an hour.
Yeah. I reckon Good Chat Comedy Fest would be good as well. They feel like they give so much opportunity to people.
Well, that's how I did my first split show. Oh, because we did a 3-split last year at Good Chat.
With Josh?
Yep. Yeah, with Josh, yeah.
Nice.
So, because I was going to recommend, if you were still here, I'd recommend you to do that, obviously, like, for a split bill, because it's like but there's probably like, with the Melbourne Comedy Festival's on at the moment. But I think there's like a Fringe you could probably... I think Melbourne has a Fringe like mid-year or something, and that might be something you could do, like put your own show, like a split show or something on maybe. Yeah. Because there's just so many like Fringes and stuff that is in Adelaide as well.
For sure. I know Sydney Fringe. Yeah. Like there's Sydney Fringe, isn't there? Yeah. And is there a Brisbane Fringe, or do they call it Wynnum Fringe?
So there is to my understanding, there is the Wynnum Fringe, and there used to be a Brisbane Fringe, And then there was something called the Anywhere Festival.
Yeah.
But I think they've combined. So June or July this year, I think we're getting a Brisbane Fringe thing. I think it's called Anywhere Fringe or something.
Oh, nice.
And I've kind of half considered like putting something on there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just cool that there's like so many like smaller festivals and stuff that you can be a part of. Like for Adelaide, I went into Adelaide thinking it would be like the ideal first festival, but it was actually a lot harder. And a lot of people I talked to them doing comedy for years are like, oh, I haven't done Adelaide in years. Like, it's just too hard.
Yeah. Okay.
So, because it's great because the whole city turns up for it. But that's also like, the issue too is that there's so many shows on. Yeah. It's hard to stand out.
Yeah, right.
Like, every cafe you go to, everywhere around the city, posters everywhere. Dave Hughes' face everywhere. All that
Dave Hughes?
Yeah. All the, like... Obviously, like all the big acts, but also like smaller stuff around too. But there's just and there's also a lot of stuff that isn't comedy.
Yeah. That
you're also competing with.
Yeah.
Like we were on Promotix giving away free tickets. Our first 2 shows, no one claimed the tickets. Yeah, like we couldn't even give our show away.
Damn.
We sold tickets and stuff. We sold a little bit, like the first 2 shows, and then we packed it out last night.
Nice.
But like.
Well, that's saying something, surely.
Sorry?
Do you reckon word of mouth for the third night?
Oh, third night was definitely like the free tickets kind of kicked in, like the Promotix and stuff. But
did you see anyone good?
I saw Shad and Pete and stuff, and I saw like Swamplesque, which is a Shrek burlesque. But so that was like a wild thing to go to. But I didn't go. I guess because we were only there for like 4 or 5 days, and we're like so focused on our own show. I didn't really get to see as much comedy as I'd like, as I wanted to.
You would have stayed there for like a short time as well. Hey?
Yeah. We were there for like 5 days. Yeah, which is like when you're doing 3 shows,
you
like
got a bit on your plate.
Yeah, so I wanted to do Melbourne this year just to go and hang out.
Yeah,
I'll try and do that next year.
Yeah, for sure. Surely it just pumps.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going down next week. I was hoping to see Damien Power on the Wednesday night.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long are you going for?
Oh, literally just the night to look at some places to
cool.
To try and inspect. But I was like Wednesday night. That'll be a good thing to do. Because I was watching some of his specials the other day. So funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crack up.
Yeah. I guess wrapping things up, where can people find you?
Angus _McLeod 99.
Hell yeah.
It's the same handle for maybe since its inception in 2013.
Have you thought of changing like to like Angus McLeod comedy or anything like that? Because I've kind of considered because with my Instagram handle it doesn't have my name. It's just like I may be a ginger, and I'm like I don't know if that works or not.
Well, I kind of like it. Well, because I always recognise it as like you.
Yeah.
I do kind of reckon for like advertising purposes, it could be good to have your name in it.
Yeah.
Just like if you rock up somewhere and it's like, oh, him, I know him. Unless your show name is I May Be a Ginger.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. I've thought about changing it to like Deaf Goat, but but like it's so stupid. So I don't know. Potentially down the track. I've thought about it, no doubt. The 99 doesn't really have much of a ring to it, does it? Just makes you sound older every year.
Yeah, it makes the audience know how old you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.